on SingularityNET and Cardano, our new staking portal, and beyond to our platform for it. So today we want to focus a lot on the launch of the staking portal, the development journey of building that staking journal, and I am thrilled to be joined by the lead of blockchain for SingularityNET, Albina Palmagolova, and Ramiro Garay, who's a developer, Haskell and PureScript consultant, and acted as a tech lead during portions of this collaboration between M Labs and SingularityNet. So it's lovely to be joined by you both today. Thank you for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
I want to just chat with you guys a little bit about the staking solution. Oh, of course, we'll be joined by Ben later. He'll be joining shortly. He's got a packed schedule today, a lot going on, but he's going to hop in as well. We'll go ahead and get the conversation started with these two for now. So I want to chat a little bit about the design, the development journey, building on Cardano, some of the unique challenges and the unique innovations that we came up with for building this staking portal. Maybe, Albina, you could give us just a little bit of your perspective, your journey, your learning, and what you're very proud of in building this.
Oh, yeah, for sure. First of all, hi all. That is very nice to be here and have this nice discussion because, to be honest, it looks like Cardano staking was a pretty challenging process that we got finally, and we was very excited to launch it, and we was trying as hard. It was working more than a year on launching the staking portal on Cardano, and I'm really very proud of the team of the people with whom I was working on this project because it was really pretty complex and hard due to a pretty specific blockchain type. To be honest, there are a lot of differences between Ethereum side and Cardano side, and basically I think that was the main case because usually blockchain specialists are very nice at event-based blockchains and they're pretty familiar with the pretty typical model of how all of this works. But basically Cardano, when you just firstly meet it, just break all of your understanding and model viewing for the first time. But then you definitely understand that that was a really best blockchain for such a purpose due to pretty specific moments about Cardano. Basically, first of all, I think I'd like to mention that Cardano staking was a pretty big project. And as I know, it lasted for quite a long time. And there was a lot of changes during the even architecture development of the final solution because it was really difficult to create a good base for the further staking building, if I can name it like this, because it was really hard to make a secure and fast solutions that can work and can support lots of the tokens. But our solution let users to stake with other tokens. Basically, technically, it's possible. And I think the most challenging moment for us was, for the first moment, understanding of the general architecture, understanding what exactly is needed to be rewritten, redeveloped, because there was some moments that was pretty significant for us and cannot work normally. There was a few moments, as you can remember from the article that was published on the Medium, that there was a few challenges which was pretty unexpected, to be honest. Like that was very complex for us to understand why something happens in a not right way. And I think one of the really most difficult moments for us was understanding of EU-TXO model and like even the complexity of staking. Because, for example, for a final user, this user should have 3 outputs to stake normally. And for the first time, it's pretty difficult to understand what exactly should be done on the client side. Even from this moment, there are a lot of complex things. As I can remember, our QA was working, I think, for a few months, about 16 hours testing the solution. It's high load testing, as functional testing. There was a lot of stuff needed to be covered, a lot of situations with which we should to test to understand that this solution would really work awesome. And moreover, that was very nice to work with Ramiro and with the Labs teams, because to be honest, Haskell, Clotus, and some languages inside the Cardano staking, they're pretty hard to understand and they're pretty complex to work with and they're really smart. So I think these 2 points was the most challenging for us. Understanding of UTXO model in case of wallets of Cardano, which has also works not like MetaMask, for example. There are quite a lot of cases which are pretty different from normal understanding of the situation, and general architecture of our staking solution due to different moments with outputs and other stuff which needed to be done on Cardano side to make it possible to work it in a correct way. So I think that was the most moments that needed to be set up. But one more moment which was pretty unexpected for us is our front end side, which was also pretty complex to build due to the some technical components and some technologies which are inside of the Cardano staking. It's really complex solution with pretty interesting technologies inside, and that was really significant moment for us to overcome all of the difficulties which we met when we was working with the front end side, and now finally we've got this solution. So I think that the most moments about Cardano staking for first view, if we're talking generally about feelings about Cardano. But I'm really excited that now it works and everything goes pretty nicely. And there are no issues and like small issues on the front end side. Sometimes we met it and we fix it pretty partly because there are a lot of cases with the Cardano wallets. But basically that is really cool that it works smoothly.
As you say, it's awesome. We got there. We got a solution that really works for our needs, and your team was just amazing in being flexible and designing that. So kudos, congratulations, and thank you to the entire team and to M Labs. Ramiro, you've been a developer in Haskell and these languages for a while now. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience with these languages, with that transition to these languages from other blockchains, and what you discovered and learned during this whole process?
So, with respect to languages, I would say I'm kind of the exception because I don't have experience in other blockchains. So I guess I'm a Cardano native. um, so my involvement in Cardano came from a personal interest in the languages that are used in Cardano. So I was first interested in Haskell and functional languages. And I think in that sense, many people at M Labs feel the same. Um, the fact that Cardano uses these languages, I think it's very significant because it attracts people with a certain mentality. Not that we are a hive mind, of course, but I think many people who work in Cardano appreciate many of the choices that were made when it was designed. Um, so I was onboarded on MLabs almost 2 years ago, and at the moment I didn't know anything about Cardano, and I really share with Albina that sentiment that, oh my God, this is so complex. That's basically what you feel when you start reading about Cardano and noticing all the different bits that you need to take into account to make a protocol actually work. So yeah, it is a challenge. It is a challenge, but I really enjoy actually working with these languages. I wouldn't have it any other way.
That's amazing. And it's one of the reasons that SingularityNET and Cardano are such a great fit. Haskell is a language that does suit AI processes very well. And it's also a language that suits security, unique solutions, more complex solutions, which of course requires a different level of depth in development, but gives greater opportunities as well. It's so exciting to be part of the Cardano community, to be joining the Cardano community. I also was very enticed. I learned about Cardano before I learned about SingularityNet. I came to SingularityNet via learning about Cardano. It's an incredible blockchain technically, in vision alignment with SingularityNet and so many other ways. I'd love to hear a little bit more about some of the unique opportunities that building on Cardano offers for a staking portal like ours and for other projects as well. Some of the quirks that are different from other blockchains that give unique opportunities. Ramiro, do you have any thoughts to share there?
Well, there are quite a few. I hope I can make justice to Cardano in this. So obviously, the word that gets thrown around is UTXO because it's the main difference between Cardano and other blockchains, and it's just a model that brings so much to the table in terms of making concurrent and basically high throughput applications. So whenever you think about the difficulties you might have when designing a protocol, because many users are trying to do the same thing at the same time, and the system just can't bear it all at the same time, the UTXO model kind of comes to the rescue. You can try to design something in terms of smaller units, the UTXOs, and try to make things faster, which is something we took into account, of course, when designing the staking solution for SingularityNET in Cardano. So I think that's probably the thing that makes Cardano most interesting, at least compared um, to other account-based blockchains, right? So yeah, that's what I think that makes Cardano interesting. And what you said about using Haskell and these languages, it also makes it very amenable to formal analysis. And having people experts in formal methods, I am not an expert in formal methods, by the way, I want to be clear about this, but people in formal methods can try to actually prove in a sound and mathematical way that protocols are behaving as they should. And this is much easier or much feasible to do in a blockchain like Cardano. So I think those are the two most important bits.
That's wonderful. Thank you. And then, Albina, from your experience having built in the more traditional blockchains, and now a big project in Cardano and Haskell, what do you see? I know that you mentioned in the blog post that we looked to take advantage of all the specialties and affordances that Cardano could offer. What do you see as some of those features?
So to be honest, as already mentioned, we work mostly with Solidity language. So we also have some experience with Town blockchain, and not only so, but even thinking about the language we will use, that is also a bit strange for the first moment, because like such functional things, it's a bit other way of writing code and even understanding of what it's on-chain part for. So even I think this understanding that we have off-chain and on-chain part, that was also a bit excited, because usually when working with Ethereum, you are not using this word like off-chain. Usually it's backend side or something like this when you work with some apps or anything else. So you're developing and you have front end side, you have back end side, you have some provider, blockchain provider, you have some smart contracts, always pretty transparent. You can have a look at it via the Cardano and STL. So basically, that's pretty typical way of writing smart contracts and other stuff. And when you firstly start doing something with Cardano, and you understand that even the architecture of interacting with the blockchain works in a pretty other way, that's really very surprising. So the first moment I need to mention that is really cool about Cardano is that our on-chain part have a pretty limited amount of actions, to be honest. So I think it opens pretty big amount of things that can be done due to this specific moment about Cardano. So lots of the stuff can be done on the off-chain side, and most important parts can be done on the on-chain part, and it's pretty difficult to write both of these parts to make it possible to work correctly with each other. So that is really amazing. And when you understand how UTXO model works, so basically that you have all of this UTXOs, you have no global state, and even you understand that Cardano wallets works as a way multi-addresses and other moments that we have to work with. Because to be honest, for the team, that was one of the most difficult moments to work when we was working with the front end side. So it was a very last step for reaching the final product. when we understand how to work with the wallets, that we need to understand that we have sticky. We need to understand that some wallets can be connected to the sticky, but some of them may not have it. So Ethereum wallet has multi-addresses mode and other moments. So I think all of this stuff together makes Cardano blockchain pretty other one from a perspective on integrating even AI models or something like this AI connected projects. So from this point of view, I think that's the main moment. And as Ramiro already said, I totally agree with all of these words because basically I think that's the most significant moment about Cardano blockchain. It's this functional moment inside. So you can prove that it would work correctly. It's very difficult to prove it with mathematical methods because it's a pretty hard level of understanding of all of these things. But basically, I think that's the most interesting moment about Cardano blockchain as well, that everything can be proved by mathematical stuff. And that is really pretty nice moment. And basically, yeah, I think the most moment about Cardano is the model which is used inside and all of the things that can be done on it. So I think that I totally agree with Ramiro, and it's pretty difficult to add anything else because it's really the most important moment about it.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much.
You flatter me, Elby. I made that up, but well, of course it's true. But it was a hard question to actually put into words what makes Cardano interesting. So I'm glad you I'm glad you agree with me in that.
I think that even our developers who was working with the solution, I mean, on their smart contract side and our QA, I think that when we was talking with them and thinking of what is really significant about Cardano, which moment important, we said the same things but other words, and that was really surprising to me that here I hear the same stuff. So maybe that's really the case.
Yeah, I think people. So I kind of like functional languages too. So functional languages feel sometimes like something very backwards because they go contrary to your intuition. And I feel Cardano is like that too, because I feel like the accounting model is often the way we talk about things. It's the way banks work. For instance, in banks, you have accounts, so you expect to always find your balance there to be able to modify it. But again, the UTXO model that Cardano uses is quite different, and that makes you rethink everything you know about how things should be designed. So that's again another thing that is similar between Cardano and functional languages, that they kind of approach things in a different way.
That's so interesting, and I know that even just with natural languages, with human languages, when somebody's multilingual, when you're thinking in one language, you tend to think along certain lines, and when you're thinking in a different language that constructs words, sentences, and thoughts differently, you think in a different way. Do you find that with Haskell and other languages, that it actually constructs the thinking on solutions?
Yes, definitely. It's a good metaphor. It's kind of like natural languages. They
For
influence your
sure.
thought process.
Yeah, yeah. But for first moment, you need to adapt for this style because for the first moment, it's really pretty complex. But then when you feel it, it's pretty difficult to take it out somewhere and make another choice.
Thank you. I hadn't even thought of that. How that choice in language, or not even a choice, if you're building on Cardano, you're going to build on Haskell and Plutus and these languages, but it actually affects the outcome. How we think of this solution is going to be thought of completely different than building in a different languages. Ben's joined us. It looks like his camera is still working itself out, but we'll hear from him in just a second. I wanted to dive in just for a second, Albina. You mentioned the user experience, and I wanted to dive into that a bit and take a look at, for the user experience, we chose a very specific hybrid staking solution. Can you just introduce us a little bit about how that looked and how we came to that decision.
To be honest, it's pretty long story, and I'm not sure that I really know all of the moments that was before my comment, to be honest, to this project, because there was some stuff done before, and I think the same stuff about Ramiro. Ben is here, so I think I can continue a bit later.
Okay. Hey Ben, thanks for joining us. Thank you very much for taking this time.
Yeah, thanks for your patience. Sorry, I'm a little bit late, but I think in fact, Ramiro and especially Albina have more to say about the specifics of the AGIX staking than I do. Anyway, my role in this particular thing has been more pointing our amazing tech team in the right direction. I mean this of course is just one step along a broader path of SingularityNET and Cardano integration, but it's a step that we've finally, after more pain and suffering than anticipated, we finally actually done it in a way that we're really quite happy with on a technical level as well as a sort of business and I mean as I've read previously, we started SingularityNET on Ethereum because it was there, right? And had that at the time in 2017 when we launched SingularityNET, that was really the only platform that had a reasonably flexible smart contract mechanism. And you could do SingularityNET without smart contracts, but it's nice to have smart contracts to sort of a persistent, secure on-chain scripting mechanism. It's nice to have that to implement a decentralized AI platform. So we started with Ethereum for that reason, and there were many things that we, like everyone else, were not happy about with Ethereum. Ethereum has gotten way better since 2017, right? I mean, it's amazing the various improvements we've seen in the base and in the various layer 2s and side chains and so forth. But as I saw what Charles Hoskinson and team were doing with Cardano, I became even more excited about that than about the many really cool developments in Ethereum ecosystem. I mean, I was originally drawn to it because of the use of Haskell, because I've been coding Haskell since 30 years, I guess, since 1993, even before there was GHC, before there were monads and so on, right? So I mean, that clearly, it seemed to me using like a strongly typed higher order function oriented programming language like Haskell is fundamentally the right thing to do for smart contracts. Like if you're going to be transacting the entire world economy on your decentralized network, you would like a language that is amenable to formal verification and a high level of security and so on. And I mean, as easy to use as it is in some ways, Solidity is totally not that. I mean, Haskell many levels above Solidity from a programming language perspective. It's many levels above WebAssembly from a programming language perspective. I mean, it's being able to use Haskell for smart contracts is nice. And Cardano, of course, has a lot in it. Besides that, it has like an actual decentralized consensus mechanism, and it's in many ways, it's a more thoroughly decentralized protocol than any other leading blockchain out there. And I came to love the Cardano community over time. I mean, it's a bit of an overgeneralization, but if you go to meetups involved with many leading blockchains, it's just about how do we make more money, right? And make it good. I'm not opposed to it. We can do fantastic things with more money. But when you go to a Cardano meetup, it's just a lot more of how do we use blockchain to improve humanity and save the world. It's just a different orientation. So I found that the advantages on the technical side were matched in a way with advantages on the human side and the ecosystem side. Now, all that said, we had the idea a few years ago, let's port SingularityNET from Ethereum to Cardano. Now, people had already been building stuff on the Ethereum version, so it's not like we want to kill that version, but let's create a Cardano version that will live side to side and perhaps in time grow bigger than the Ethereum version, right? And we had this notion, to be honest, we were waiting quite a while for Hydra to reach a suitable level of maturity that we could just use Hydra's state channels and so on to make it really easy to port SingularityNET platform to Cardano using Hydra. Hydra has taken it a slightly different direction now, not so much in terms of prioritized, and this will be a topic for a separate stream perhaps. But with the help of Albina's team, we've been rethinking sort of maybe the first step toward putting SingularityNET on Cardano will not rely on Hydra after all, because then we can sort of just do it without waiting for Hydra to go in the particular direction that we would need. So we've been rethinking that, and that's now on our roadmap for a little later this year to finally complete the point of our marketplace and platform using a Hydra approach. But we wanted to get started with something meaningful sooner, and doing staking of the AGIX ADA on Cardano platform seemed like it might be a simpler place to start, which I think it was a simpler place to start. It just wasn't as simple as we'd initially envisioned, but it was a fascinating learning experience when involved, which Albina and colleagues have sort of summarized in a blog post, and it's been interesting in terms of understanding what we might want to focus on in terms of helping create more tooling for the Cardano platform. Also, we're creating our own layer 1, or as Tufi calls it, layer 0++. So hypercycle, which can be used as a team protocol, or it could be used as a layer 2 or a sort of side chain to Cardano network or Ethereum or other networks. And just seeing what has made it tricky to do AGIX staking on Cardano in terms of the tooling in the Cardano world. It's been educational in terms of what tooling do we want to be sure is there in Hypercycle to make Hypercycle effective in all its guises, including as an AI specialized layer 2 on Cardano network, right? So I think it's been an interesting ride and an adventure, and we've reached a significant milestone there. It actually works. It's been through quite a series of audits and fixes, and I think we've worked out a very nice way to do AGIX staking on Cardano, which is what this is all about. And I'm psyched that we have Ramiro and Albina to talk about this in more detail. As these guys are more heavily involved in actually making it work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ben. Sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry. I was just going to say, if you wanted to talk about Hydra, we should get someone else from M Labs, because Hydra is something out of this world. It's very different. I really don't know that much about it.
Yeah, I mean, the Hydra is exciting, and what's been implemented so far is a portion of the Hydra head protocol, and they haven't really touched the tail protocol. And they've prioritized what's needed to make payments work fast on Cardano with Hydra Pay, which is really important and fantastic. It happened what we would need for SNet platform is Hydra's facility to manage sort of multiple state channels in a unified way, so you can do multi-party escrow and so on. And that's not been prioritized by the Hydra team because it wasn't needed for Hydra Pay, right? So it seems the next step after AGIX staking on Cardano, and I'm very future oriented, so I'm always on to the next step, right? So, I mean, the next step beyond AGIX staking on Cardano is putting SNet's AI platform fully on Cardano, and that needs multi-party escrow among some other fancy things, which eventually Hydra will supply according to the original Hydra paper, but it hasn't been their priority because they prioritized Hydra Pay. And I could see why, because we're like the only ones who give a shit about multi-party escrow, and I mean fast payments are important across the board in Cardano ecosystem, right? So, but fortunately we didn't need that for staking, which has its own issues, but is a little simpler, right?
Right. That's interesting. I wasn't aware of this. I wasn't aware about this Hydra situation, that it was even a plausible solution for some of SingularityNet's problems. It's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, what's described in the Hydra paper, the Hydra head protocol, even without the tail, would suffice for a lot of what we need to do with SingularityNet marketplace. It's just they haven't implemented those pieces yet, and we considered plunging in and helping implement that, but they have their own vision for how to do it also. So I mean, I think we may port SNet platform to Hydra in future once a complete version of Hydra is released. But yeah, I think we saw in the tortuous journey to get AGIX staking some of why the Hydra team's development is taking a while also, right? And I mean, you can just see like even though the language is awesome, just the testing tools are much fewer than they are in Ethereum. I mean, you do see the nature of Ethereum's first mover advantage, right? Like, I mean, even though Solidity is another piece of crap as a programming language, right? I mean, it's terrible language, but yet, I mean, it was rolled out at the right time, and so many brilliant people came in and built so many amazing tools for doing things using Ethereum, and just for automatically testing and evaluating your Solidity code, for making web applications and Solidity work with other applications. I mean, this whole ecosystem of tools emerged, and that is a huge asset which Ethereum got first because they launched first, right? And
I agree 100%.
I mean, Cardano's catching up. You're getting more and more tools bit by bit, but it's educational to see that catch-up process takes years, even if like the core smart contract language is already better, right?
Yeah, definitely. Ethereum, when it comes to tooling, I think it wins the match and the game. It's far ahead compared to Cardano. Not to say that Cardano is not great, but I have to admit, in tooling, Ethereum is more robust. There is actually an anecdote related to SingularityNet staking solution in Cardano that is related to this. There's an entire point about us not having the proper testing framework to actually test things as we wanted to do. And those things had to be developed, and once we had them, we could start using them, but they were not there at first.
What's interesting to me looking forward in the next year or two, though, is with large language models and other associated AI advances, developing things like testing frameworks maybe faster than it used to be, right? And so maybe that Cardano can start catching up and even surpassing Ethereum now, because developing this sort of tooling may not need as much human labor as it used to. Like, I mean, it's not like the AI will just do it automatically, but it's a lot. It's so much easier to create test suites now than it used to be. But I think it's also going to be easier to create testing tools than it used to be. And I mean, we're seeing with our own custom smart contract language, Meta, which is part of our Hyperon AI framework and our Hypercycle blockchain, we're seeing that LLMs are not yet very helpful with meta coding because there's not a big corpus. It's a new language. There's not a lot of data to train the AI, but there's a lot of Haskell out there, right? So I mean, we can use LLMs to accelerate development of Haskell-based tooling for Cardano ecosystem, and I think this should help a great deal during the next year or two. So I'm optimistic in that sense.
I am looking forward to that. It would make my life easier.
Some of the challenges and the opportunities of building on a chain that's relatively young, like Cardano. We have the experience of things don't happen as quickly as we hoped that they would, and we planned on. Some of the tooling and everything's not there. Some of the experience and core development ideas aren't there. But then we also get to co-develop that and add our own ideas to the mix as well, and help other developers come up with new solutions on the chain. So that's kind of cool and exciting as well, that we get to contribute and co-develop that way. I know, Marilyn, I'm sorry, Albina, you were saying that you talked quite a bit about some of the challenges with tooling that we experienced, and how some of those tools have caught up actually over the past year, and allowed us to do some more testing than previously, and kind of accelerate development and make this final idea come to fruition and possible even.
Basically, yep. And moreover about like a testing moment, so that was a pretty sensitive as well, because as I already said, we have to cover a lot of cases before to understand what cases should be done, what situations should we explore, and how exactly can we be sure that it will work in the way we expect it to work. So that was a pretty grand stuff for our QA who was working with that, and Ramiro together we was making a lot of types of testing, a lot of different scenarios. We was finding U1 and U1, and one of such of tests came up to one critical issue that we found, and then we have to go to Railroad and rewrite a little bit the architecture and the output issue. So Ramiro, as you can remember, that was a really awful moment when we understood that we simply cannot make a transaction because it's too big, and like when we just got it, I just want to die, I think, at that moment, because when I just understood what we can, like what we found, that was really pretty unexpected. But I think the main moment that really awesome, that all of the developers, all of us, have a really significant brain. It can think wider and understand how exactly should we set this algorithm and internal architecture to make it possible even inside of such a difficult solution like a Cardano. And moreover, I'm more than sure that in future we will have a lot of tools and other stuff around the Cardano which will let to work with this blockchain fast and easy as with Ethereum, for example. What I believe.
Yeah, there are so many of those anecdotes of thinking we have everything right and then realizing that it's just a tiny thing is off, and it has ramifications, and the ramifications were sometimes, well, one of those had a very, very strong impact, like when we found that DOS vulnerability. And yes, I hope with time tooling in Cardano will improve to let us find these things sooner. I think that's something any Cardano developer is looking forward to. But yeah, I agree with Albina 100%. It was such a roller coaster to work on this.
And on that, sorry, go on, Albina.
Yeah, I just want to say that that was really pretty interesting experience in any case, because to be honest, we have to create a strong and powerful solution. And I want to believe that our final realization that we got, that is really strong and robust, and really did hard. And we was really very nervous about all of the situations to be covered, because blockchain solution should be strong enough to go through all of these moments about blockchain and decentralized technologies that are really trustless, and you have to make a really good solution inside such an ecosystem.
And so just looking forward to the future, as Ben said, the next step for us, as Albina you said as well, is that platform port. Can you talk a little bit about some of the challenges ahead with that, some of the things that we've learned from staking that will contribute to that, and anything else that we can share in that? I know the community is excited to hear more about this.
So, if possible, I think I can say a few things about the things that we know for us for future development. So, basically, I think even understanding of how Cardano blockchain works and what are the best practice, how exactly it is better to develop for Cardano blockchain, what exactly needed to be done, how should we test it, what cases can be unexpected, what are the malicious things about maybe even AGIX model, what about wallets, what about expectations. All of these moments are pretty small and unexpected, but when you unexpectedly it can impact on a final it really makes sense. So from the second, I think we will understand how basically the system, the architecture should be done, what are really important moments that we need to set on the backend side, how exactly should we work with Cardano node, what about the infrastructure based on it to make it really scalable solution, which you can make bigger, smaller, etc. So there are pretty big things that we know now, and we understand how exactly it would be better to set some things connected to the platform. If you're talking about the pretty sensitive things like financial models, like some maybe payment channels or something like this, which are connected to the SingularityNET platform, which is a pretty big and strong solution. So, and for sure, now we are thinking about different ways how exactly it can be implemented. We had an overview what tools and solutions can be used for such a purpose, and how exactly the internal architecture may look like, how exactly it can be developed and implemented. Some of these stuff are in progress, and we are discussing different ways how to make it better, how to cover most of the more important moments for us. So basically, yeah, that's the case. And about some sharing moments and maybe even general feelings about porting the platform to Cardano, I think it would be better to ask Ben about his feelings. So how exactly are we planning to move? Because that is really important for us too.
Ben, any thoughts to share on that?
What was the question, Albina? You covered a lot of things.
For sure. I'm just saying that our general feelings. So maybe are we planning to go step by step towards coming to Cardano, or are we planning to cover a big amount of the logic and functionality which is already implemented on the Ethereum side? So there are a lot of moments that we are still thinking about and trying to think about final decision.
I think that's becomes resource prioritization issue, right? Like how much effort do we put on completing the Cardano port versus building the LLM plus knowledge graph as a service infrastructure for SingularityNET on Ethereum, and then integration with Hypercycle, right? And that's always a hard problem because we have so many important things in the works and sort of partly done. And I mean, we have a awesome team, but not that huge of a team. Certainly not as big as a IOG or something with Cardano. I think this is something we're still thinking through. I mean, in our current roadmap, completing the Cardano port is on the list for this year in the current draft roadmap, and I mean, to change based on the chaos of the crypto world. I think what interests me as an approach is to find some key application wants to use SNet on Cardano in particular, and then perhaps use some particular application to drive the port of the platform, and that would then drive prioritization decisions. And this is something we're in discussion with Singularity DAO about, which could give some hint as to what sort of application it might end up being. I mean, Singularity DAO being DeFi project, right? So and of course, there's a lot of fascinating uses of machine learning and machine reasoning in the DeFi arena. So that's the direction I'm thinking of, is sort of considering a few candidates for initial really cool things to do with AI for the users of the Cardano ecosystem, and then you use some reference application to prioritize the various pieces involved in doing the platform port. But yeah, if we had a solid decision on what that initial wrap is going to be, I would have said so. We're still evaluating a few options.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, in any case, we will work hard and we'll pay all of their attention and all of the opportunities that we had and all of the current understanding to go forward in this direction too.
And I think that this is such an important direction and idea. We've spent a lot of time over the past year, the past 6 months especially, really updating and tightening up our platform just on ETH, right? There's the technology has progressed quite a bit. AI has progressed quite a bit with the launch of deep funding and projects getting funding and building and getting ready to port. We've understood a whole lot more deeply what we need to do to make it easier and more seamless for AI developers to onboard. And this translates a lot to how do we want to build the next iteration, build on Cardano. And then as you say, Ben, what do we want to build for? Cardano has a staggering breadth of amazing projects building. We have an amazing breadth of projects that are actually building on Cardano. Rejuve AI is on Cardano. Mindplex will be on Cardano. They're looking at their reputation in blockchain format, I believe, with Albina's team right now. I talked with Rui recently. Jam Galaxy is looking at how they can be on Cardano because it's such an amazing blockchain to be on, but of course there are challenges building for it. And then SDAO is looking in that direction as well. This is really an emerging blockchain that's maturing, and that we have some expertise now through building this. Even if there were struggles and challenges in growing with it, we now have a capability and capacity. Thanks to our team, thanks to our beautiful partners at M Labs to help get us there. And all of that looks like a rich ground that we get to now play on and develop in now that we have this background. And Albina, I just wanted to... Sorry. Please remember.
I'm just glad I could play a part here. Just as another developer working at M Labs, to be able to help your platform reach a reach Cardano and take some of the advantages that Cardano offers in this blockchain space.
I wanted to touch. There was a great question from the community. I wanted to touch on real quick. Cardano for Seniors was asking about where the staking rewards come from for the staking solution, and I wanted to point at there's the phase 2 paper that talks about the different wallets. We're minting tokens per phase 2 on Cardano every month in tranches, and it gets divided up into different components. There's a foundation wallet for the basic foundation opportunities. There's the supervisory council wallet for funding supervisory council activities. There's a loyalty rewards wallet, which you can go if you're a loyalty rewards eligible person and claim your loyalty rewards. And there's a staking rewards wallet. So this is actually coming from a wallet set aside to build reward liquidity or building rewards for liquidity pool for utilization with the platform to help enable AGIX calls on the platform on Cardano when we get that platform port there. So that's where those come from currently. And the plan would be to have a thriving platform that's able to then utilize that liquidity pool and pay into those rewards in the future. So. And then, Alina, I'd love to come back to that question we talked about a few minutes or a little bit ago before Ben hopped on. We were just starting to talk about the UX choice and the hybrid solution that we came up with, and how the team kind of came to that. If you can touch on what that entailed and how that's working now.
Yeah, surely. So as I already said, there are some things which is under the hood, because some of the moments we do not know, maybe even Ramiro or even I. So it was a pretty long story, because I think when the decision came to create something on Cardano, so I suppose it was a pretty unexpected that the general architecture would be such a complex solution, and there would be a lot of limitations even from the Cardano side, due to some specific moments about UTX model, about different moments which are pretty specific for Cardano. Based on it, as I understand, there was planned a few ways how exactly staking should work, because we have bonded staking, we have unbonded staking, different pretty typical ways how exactly it should be implemented. But after quite a long thinking, how exactly it should be done, what way of organizing it would be more comfortable for final users, how it would be comfortable to manage it, because as we understand all of this rewards process, it's a bunch of transactions that are going through the Cardano blockchain, and we should be able to process it in time, because these phases are pretty limited. Finally, we understood that the ideal formula for the staking portal would be a mixed solution, where we let users to come to us and to withdraw anytime they want, except few days, which are stated as a special time when the rewards are distributed. So basically, the first moment about such a solution that is users' comfort. So basically, you have any option when exactly to come, when exactly to go back, and you can do this several times if you really need it, which is pretty comfortable. And if you're talking about Cardano, so we have some delays inside blockchain, so sometimes a network is pretty full of transactions. Sometimes there are not so many, so we should also think about sometime when we cannot process transactions, so it will be pretty slow. Due to this, we have to choose some time period when we cannot let people to withdraw money, because they have to wait a bit until the rewards process will go on. So basically, I think that the ideal way for users is that we have a pretty small epochs. They're pretty dynamic, and people can easily come and withdraw anytime they want. And the only limitation is in cycles which are going on. So you have to wait one cycle, and then only you can get the reward for a past cycle. So it's a pretty specific moment due to formula, because to be honest, there was a lot of documentation, a lot of counting, how exactly staking solution should work, what should be the timelines, how exactly it should be organized. And due to Cardano specifics that we have something like epochs inside usual timing. So we have a pretty specific time slots inside the Cardano blockchain that we also were thinking would be a limitation for us. That we have a pretty concrete size of the transaction, and we have different outputs that we have to use. So there are several moments that have to make the final decisions that our solution should be a little bit mixed to make it very comfortable for users to interact with. So basically, I think the final decision of a current architecture of our staking was based on a mix of mathematics behind it, understanding of which way of staking is the most comfortable, and the limitations of the Cardano blockchain and features that it can provide to us. So basically, based on it, we have to come to the current architecture and current schedule of the staking portal. So that is.
Which is so interesting. It's really a different kind of solution for staking, and I think it really did a nice job balancing the different needs of the community, the different requirements of the blockchain. So beautiful job. I know that was a whole organization effort. You know, there was a lot of conversation through the blockchain team, through the leadership and organization, and I think that the nice balance was come up with. I hope the community is excited about everything there.
For sure. So we tried to do it the best way, the most comfortable, and due to some moments about the infrastructure side, because we have to interact with a few Cardano nodes, so all of this stuff is pretty complex to provide a really comfortable thing to interact with.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, we're rounding out. I appreciate everybody being here so much. This was a brilliant conversation. Thanks for sharing so much about the inside, the details, the building of the future plans for SingularityNET on Cardano. Are there any last messages? Anything you'd like to share?
So, if possible, I think we can add one small moment that, as I know, we are planning to share the most significant part of the staking solution, that is on-chain part of the smart contracts, which is pretty complex. And basically, currently, the team is working on a few examples how exactly this can be implemented by any other person who are planning to use this. So there would be some examples of the off-chain code, how exactly it can be done due to architecture to interact with the on-chain part. And I think that is really very cool for the Cardano ecosystem that it would be possible for anyone else to set their own solution to make it possible on Cardano side using some stuff that we was really working for so long to provide it, and that is really great solution, I think, and a pretty nice news.
Yeah, we'll definitely open source. I've been a huge advocate of open source for AIDS, and I mean, I think open source software along with decentralized governance and then decentralized control of data and compute resources. I mean, these are all very important for moving toward, beneficial blockchain networks and beneficial AI networks. And I mean, one complete the port of the platform to Cardano, this will be open source code as well, and should hopefully, it should help others build cool, complex stuff on Cardano platform as well as driving further development in SNet ecosystem. So yeah, absolutely, you'll see some code dropped.
Fantastic, excellent. Any last words from you, Ramiro?
No, I don't think I have much to add. I think Albina has showed all of the, not only in words, but also in emotion, all that was needed to deliver this. I think I will fail her if I try to do the same thing, because I might say more technical stuff, but it won't. People won't feel what it actually took to make this. It was such a long journey. It was full of complications, but it was such a pleasure to work with Albina. Albina, you're very smart, and you are also such a nice person to work with. So it was really nice to work with you. And I just want to, I guess that those will be my final words. I just want to thank you for letting me be a part of this. it was a very interesting project to work on.
It was fun. It was fun to watch everything that you guys did, and yeah, I look forward to the next chapter. So yeah, thanks a lot to the community for your patience in waiting for all this Singularity Cardano stuff to emerge. This is not the final milestone, but is an interesting milestone along the path. Bye bye.